Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, we're here to talk about the meta center build in NBA 2K23. Now, I've seen a lot of speculation on Twitter as far as what type of build system it's going to be, etc, etc. I saw this tweet in particular, so it's really just someone that I follow. His name is Nick Ruiz. As you can see, he said, because 2K nerfed shorter big man position in 2K22, my first build in 2K23 will be a 7-foot center with max wingspan, defense, rebounding, max jump shooting, etc, etc. So I want to talk about this, and I wanted to kind of bring up this little notepad. I went into the kind of the 2K YouTube realm all the way back to 2K15, and some of this was just in my brain because I know this was the case, and I've played all the way back to 2K11. But anyway, the meta center build in every single game since 2K15. I wanted to jog you guys' memory on a lot of this stuff, so we're going to go ahead and just talk about this. I hope you enjoyed the video too. If you do, for drop a like, sub if you're new to noties. Good stuff, and like always, tries 1 to 500 likes. Really excited for the 2K23 content coming up. I have a lot of really cool ideas, a lot of cool people that we're going to be getting on the YouTube channel as well. But anyway, back to the topic. As you can see, in 2K15, this is kind of a given. The 7-3 demigods were just the thing. You're able to get literally 99 everything, and I'm not joking on that. I even mean speed. Every single badge maxed. The 7'3" demigods were the move. Now, other than that, I would say 7-footers in the legitimate realm of things without doing the glitch was probably the move. So 7 foot, just everything. Small forwards were just goated. 2K15, really weird game. Honestly, it's kind of trash if you think about it, and I think a lot of people would hate it if it came out today. But anyway, 7-3 inside or outside. In 2K16, it was inside, outside, or balanced as far as your play type. And for the most part, it was always 7'3" bigs. I think it was just a given. To be honest with you guys, even for threes, it was just the case. Next up, we move on to 2K17. This had a lot more versatility and more variety to it than any other game so far at the big man position, if you ask me. And it continued to keep on evolving when it comes to the variety aspect as you keep on going through the next games. But for 2K17, I gotta tell you guys, I was a big fan of undersized bigs, and at the moment, undersized bigs were even 7 foot, because the general meta and the general wave every single other game and in this game was to go with the 7'3" best rebounding build you could possibly get. In this case, the 7'3" glass cleaner with the Hall of Fame brick wall, Hall of Fame rebound chaser, or at that time hustle rebounder, and had 99 rebound ratings. It was crazy. It was super OP. But again, I myself had the 7-foot athletic. In every build that I ever struggled against with rebounding, it was never the 7'3" tall bigs. It was the 6'10" pure glass that I've played twice in that game, and I got destroyed by those dudes. Super fast, super agile, really quick off the screen so you can't help your guard as much. Elite rebounder because of the speed in vertical and just the ability to get to the hoop faster. And I've always been a huge fan of those undersized bigs as long as they can still have really good rebound ratings. Now we move along to 2K18. In my opinion, it was still 7'3", still 7'2". It was either the pure stretch, the pure glass, the glass stretch, the stretch glass, whatever the way you wanted to shift it. As we know, 2K18 was double archetypes, so you're able to set a primary and a secondary. For the most part, it was some form of rebounding and shooting, or a pure rim protector, potentially because they got better three-point rating than glass cleaners did, or maybe a rim stretch. Whatever the case may be, it was still generally 7'2" and 7'3". This allowed a little bit more versatility, like I said, even than the game before it though, where even 7-footers, 6'11", 6'10", they still functioned as bigs. Some people even could come out here with like a tall point forward and still play the big man with it. I myself included was playing on a 6'10" point forward, and it still worked perfectly fine to do so. You can still play as a big, it's just you're not going to be able to rebound and snag like those other true bigs. But it also depends on what play style you're playing. I mean, if you're playing twos, if you're playing threes, if you're playing fives, it's always going to change based on that. It's just in some games it's more kind of evident than others. But anyway, we'll kind of accelerate through this point a little bit. It's not the only thing I want to talk about in today's video. So 2K19, you had the power forward pure stretch, 7-footer. It was pretty much called the stretch 4, as a lot of you guys know, with Duke, Joe, grinding, the big three of the stretch bigs in 2K19. These builds were able to dribble, they were able to shoot like crazy. You could still play a decent bit of interior defense and rebounding with it. And just in general, I think this was really the thing that a lot of people had fun playing with the most. But you didn't see a whole lot of like true inside pure glass cleaners or anything like that in this game. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say everybody in the world had a 7-foot power forward pure stretch. I obviously didn't. I also actually had a 6'11" rebounding athletic. It was something that some people will also still use in that game as well. I thought it was really fun. You can get driving contact dunks, standing contact dunks, etc, etc. You could be a really good rebounder, really fast, like good agile defender. But again, a lot of versatility in that game. However, the meta was probably 7-foot power forward. Now, after 2K19, we move into a new era where it's 2K20, 21, 22. These are where undersized bigs have been so much more functional than they ever had been in 2K history before that. So, in 2K20, I really took this wave, and I would like to think I played a pretty decent part in creating the wave of the undersized big. I had a 6'9" finisher that was my main build. Now, I would say the meta build was still to go 6'9" or 6'10", but with a rim sharp, so aka the red and green pie chart, or to go with the pure red. If I could have remade a build in that game, I would have preferred to make a 6'8" pure red. I feel like those builds would have been insane for comp stage. It's just obviously then they have rules for the comp stage where it's invalid because it's too good. So if that says anything about it, honestly, the 6'8" pure red, in my opinion, was by far the best thing in the game as far as the big position. But then I think they're only allowed to be 6'10" for like pure rims or rim sharps, whatever the case may be. But again, that's just stupid stage rules. It's not like it matters to you guys. It's not like it matters to me. It's just, you know, what the comp guys were doing. But anyway, like I said, I think in my opinion, the meta build was going to be 6'8" pure red. It's just it wasn't allowed by most people. But either way, 6'9", 6'10", 6'8" was really the nice area of just really content situation that a lot of people chose with their bigs. Now, you go into 2K21 next gen. I want to explain the whole 6'7" power forward thing. This is the glitch that allowed you to still have Hall of Fame quick first step on a build that should not have it by any means. The 6'7" power forward had the greatest badge spread you could ever imagine. It was glitched in terms of some different badges as well. It was just broken in general. So, as far as playing like 3s or anything like that, or 2s, you always wanted to bring 2 of these for 2v2, or maybe a small guard in one of these as well. Or, I don't know, I guess to be fair, there were also still some valid types of bigs where you can make like a 6'10", 6'11", 7-footer. I think past 7 foot though in this game of 2K21 next gen was so overrated and so bad. I think a lot of people would agree, even the pro-am heads as well. You didn't have tall 5s, it was really like 6'10s pretty consistently as far as the meta in that game. And the reason for that was because you really couldn't move very good on a tall 7'3". You were sluggish, you were slow, super slow, slower than you ever felt in any other game when it comes to being a super tall big. Now, for current gen, it was even more like that. These dudes were obsessed with the undersized pure reds in this game. In some rare situations, you could maybe make the case for a red green to be 6'8" as well. It's just, it was really hard to shoot in that game with a low 3-point rating, especially early. Later in the game, people kind of caught on to it and started making those red greens or even shooting with pure reds. I don't know how, but anyway, as you can see, 2K21 current gen, 6'8" pure red was by far the true meta. Some people eventually maybe made 6'8" red blues where it could get Hall of Fame showtime, which was kind of broken for the people who play the 3-up defense super hard, because then you can get crazy takeover for your team with the showtime. But anyway, I personally actually started this kind of wave. I would like to think I took a little bit of credit for this. At the beginning of the year, I made a 6'7" point guard pure red to play the big man with. It had 99 speed. It was insane. I loved it. I just didn't love the game so much. But the pure red 6'7", that was definitely my thing. And I'd like to think I continued to make those small undersized bigs. Now, for 2K22 next gen, I'm not going to speak on current gen because I have no idea how that game functions. I haven't played it a single bit at all. For 2K22, I think early on in this game, it was very evident to me that 7'3" and 7-footers and stuff like that, anything 7 foot and above was dominant at the big man position. But then people started picking on these builds a little bit with its perimeter defense. It is a little bit slow. It doesn't have any ankle braces at all, so you can get stunned very often with the tight handles, and you get caught in some situations where you're chasing really hard. Now, I will say, you can actually still play solid perimeter defense on a 7'3" in this game. As long as you commit to the jump contest, or you can stay in front of that point guard, which is hard sometimes, but the jump contests really get great contests for you. It's just, obviously, it's hard to really just live and die by that, because then when you jump, you're completely out to play. Ideally, you're not around those point guards very often, which is very doable in Pro-Am. You can just stick them in the corner, and then you don't really have that problem. In Stage, people started catching on quite a bit to the fact that you really can't have 7'3" on the court viably to defend the 3-point line very well. So, what did that turn into? Well, the glitch 6'9" metric came out, and this build completely took over the stage. It took over anything to do with 3v3, 2v2. Even in Pro-Am, it's functioning as the meta power forward build, so whether you want to consider that a big man or not, roles have kind of changed a little bit compared to back in the day. Back in the day, I'd like to think if you played center, you played hedge as well, but that's not the case in today's Pro-Am. In today's Pro-Am, you're probably sitting in the corner as a center on defense, and you're just there for rebounding, rotations, stuff like that. Nowadays, they have power forwards play the hedge defense, and they guard, quote-unquote, guard the centers. It's not like they actually just man up the center, but anyway, you get my point. Long story short, I'd like to think in the smaller courts of 2v2, 3v3, 6'9" metrics completely took over when that build became a thing. Before that though, I don't know, man, it's tough to say. It was such a gray area because 6'9" defaults weren't really that good. Same with 6'10s. People were maybe using 6'8s, but then you have the valid aspect of things too, where sometimes that's not allowed. So where am I trying to get at with all of this? In my opinion, I think tall bigs have dominated the past of 2K. All the way back to 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, it was so evident that 7 foot and above was by far the meta. Nothing close as far as the common theme that people would make their builds. And when I say meta, I mean like literally the people who look up YouTube videos and like, oh, best big man build, boom, they see it, it's someone like Nate, it's someone like Joe, it's someone like anybody who is a common big man theme, and they just make the video and boom, the whole community runs with it. And I do agree, those tall bigs have 100% been the meta in the past. Me personally, like I said, all the way back to 2K17, I kind of went with like the 7-footer, then the 6'11", then in 2K19, once again 6'11", then in 2K20 I went with the 6'9", which then finally became a little bit of the meta. So I've always been an undersized big kind of guy, but what I wanted to just bring all this point back to is Nick right here, talking about because 2K nerfed shorter big men positions in 2K22, my first build in 23 will be a 7-foot center, blah, 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 blah. You get my point. I don't think it's smart to really game plan ahead of time what build you're going to go with just because of changes that were made in the past. 2K23 could be literally anything, and I want to go back to the builder real quick to talk about some stuff like this. Alright, so right here we have the 3 best big men builds, in my opinion, for 2K22 next gen. It was the 6'9" metric, the 7-foot glitch as far as the, like, you pretty much get 6'11" stats, and then the 7'2" glitch metric, which is pretty much a 7'3". So disregard all this stuff, I'll just pretty much say 7'3", 7 foot, and 6'9". Now, all I want to say between these builds is pretty much if the 7'2s weren't allowed to have such little weight, or for instance in this build I actually don't have a minimum weight, but long story short, you can go ahead and just tick this down all the way. You can just move the wingspan all the way up to the max, and as you can see, the 7'2" metric still gets 69 speed. That's unreal for a 7'2" build. That's just insane that you can be this tall and this fast. I think if they made the speed thresholds a little bit different and made it so 7'3" builds, or if they made it so strength was actually important again, that'd be a whole different story too, because then you'd start to see taller builds like this really struggle to play the perimeter. I mean, you'd have 50 speed, 44 perimeter D. You'd also lack in the vertical aspect of things too, and I think what a lot of people have caught on to the fact of is that strength isn't extremely important, honestly, in my opinion. Like I said, I've always been someone who has been in the boat, in the camp, whatever you want to say, of the undersized bigs. I've always felt like if you secure a box out, there's nothing that you really struggle with in the most situation against all these tall bigs. Now, if they have extreme weight, yeah, you'll probably get wormed every now and then. You probably won't secure every single box out, but their speed is going to be such a detriment to their team. Like, just to even pick and roll with this type of speed would be so horrible. I mean, 50 speed, that's so different from the 69 that we just showed with the minimum weight. And mind you, this isn't any shorter really. Like the 7'2" metric, it's not that much shorter than the 7'3" build by any means. And this is like ridiculously fast for being 7'2". To have this type of block rating, to have this type of range and mobility, this type of vertical, with really this type of driving dunk and 3-point shooting ability as well. That's a whole different topic for another day though. The fact that an 8-foot wingspan build still gets 773 3-pointer at 7'2". Like, at the very least, most builds, unless you go maybe one tick down on the wingspan, can get a Hall of Fame sniper with that 80 mid-range. So the only build that can't get this is pretty much max wingspan 7'2", 7'3s. And every other build can get Hall of Fame sniper. So they might have to do something as far as the 3-point shooting of taller bigs as well. I think personally, it's really nice when you have a game that's super big on variety when it comes to the big man position. This year's game was pretty good for that. I just think for centers and Pro-Am though, it was so evident that 7'2", 7'3s are the only thing that's even acceptable. If you have anything shorter than that, you're going to get dominated on the rebounds. You're just not tall enough. Honestly, this all comes down to the fact that you really just play the corner on defense, and that's what the community has come to accept. They don't really play hedge defense anymore, so nobody plays center and power forward roles on the offense and defense, aka I'm pretty much saying nobody does what I did this year and nobody runs the pick and roll yet guards hedge at the same time, because it demands such an extreme build in those two situations. To guard hedge, and you really need to be like 6'9", really good on the perimeter defense, and to help your lockdown really contain those guards. To be the big man, you have to be extremely tall, really good off the corner with the rebounds, and really be able to mash down low. That's another thing as far as I want to talk about offense too. This game really welcomed these tall bigs this year because of the completely dominant mashing ability of the close shot on 99, and just the lack of interior defense, if we're being completely honest as well, where you kind of have to jump to be able to contest those 99 close shot guys. And again, dead zone in the paint, that's a whole different topic as well. It's not even really anything to do with close shot or interior defense. It's just dead zone is dead zone. It's stupid. It's uncontestable. It's like crabbing someone, but in the paint. And long story short, interior defense could definitely use a retool. So all of this that I've talked about in today's video, I want to kind of backtrack to the fact that things can change. It's not going to be the exact same game. I know AK has talked to me about, oh, they're going to make the tall bigs the meta again. They're going to make the small guards the meta again. You don't know that. You really do not know that going into a game. Anything can change, anything. And I'm talking like literally the 6'9" metric glitch could come along. Something that's completely unexpected can completely just shake the world, the 2K world, when it comes to how the build system works. Or for instance, the 6'7" like demigod glitch from 2K21 Next Gen. It's just things like that can come along and really just shake the whole world of 2K. So all I'm saying is do not go into a game expecting this is the build I'm going to make. You're just going to be disappointed. You definitely want to just be able to feel things out a little bit. Honestly, people do critique content creators and say, oh, people just make the same builds as the 2K YouTubers, or the 2K YouTubers don't think at all when they make their builds. They just throw stuff together. This is the thing. I think people like me personally, maybe not other YouTubers, it's up to you guys to judge that, but me personally, I always will sit here and look at rating thresholds. I'll be like, okay, 7'2" are this fast compared to 6'9", and I'm like, wow, that's such a horrible trade-off. I personally wanted to make a smaller build this year just because that's my cup of tea and I enjoy the driving dunk aspect of things. But you can see very evidently that speed like shines through on these 7'2", 7'3". Like, you are not slow by any means. Your vertical is not low, and you don't really gain that much for going down. I mean, as you can see, like, we can drop the weight all the way down from 6'10". Whoop-de-doo, you still only have 75 speed and 86 vertical. It's not really that far off from the 7'2" right here. So my whole point is just go into a game, fill out the builder, be able to just listen to some content creators' feedback as well, who are kind of build gurus, as far as some perspective and some true thought as far as the builder goes. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I know I'm going to be labbing that stuff super hard at the beginning of the year. I'll probably throw up a stream too, even for that matter, and just kind of lab stuff out with you guys. That's what I've always done for the most part. I like to see other people's feedback, other people's interest in terms of things that shined out to them, because at the end of the day, I'm only one guy. And if I can have the feedback from 50 different people, 100 different people, that's huge. I can just go ahead and be like, oh, yo, you're right, this is crazy. I don't think I want to make a corresponding video of the point guards and the lockdowns or anything like that. I think the topic is pretty obvious that that's what I'm trying to talk about, because I've done that in the past. I've sat here and gone from 2K17 into 18 thinking the game was going to be the exact same way, and then boom, double archetypes comes out, and it's like, oh, wow, well, that changes a whole lot. Or from 2K16 to 17, you go from literally just inside-outside balance to literal archetypes, and honestly anything can change. So when it comes to the height aspect too, keep in mind that will change based on the meta as well. It also depends on what the cool thing is to play. A lot of people, I would say, in this year's game kind of got on the Pro-Am wave. I would never have guessed that, to be honest with you. I thought it was going to be all park, all stage like it was the last year in 2K21 current gen. But long story short, if you are a Pro-Am head, chances are taller bigs are going to be more important. If you're a stage head, chances are smaller bigs are going to be important. And honestly, you probably don't know, I'd say most people probably don't know what their main play style is going into a game. Me personally, I don't know either. I don't know if I want to play stage. I don't know if I want to play like fun park. I don't know if I want to play Pro-Am. I'm probably going to play all three, but again, you got to kind of find a build that works for all three of them as well if you don't plan to spend a whole lot more. Anyway, that was my topic. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, for to drop a like, sub, new channel noties, all that good stuff. Like always, tries 1 to 500 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put tall in the comments. Search supports me all the way through, or you could push short if you prefer to make the smaller bigs as well. Undersized, big, tall, big, whatever you want to put in the comments. Just show me you made it to the end of the video if you want to show the support. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed. I don't know what the status on 2K22 content is for me anymore. I don't really feel like playing it, to be honest with you guys. I'm probably not going to, and I'm cool with just riding this stuff out, talking about the 2K23 news, or I'm probably gonna be playing Madden as well when that comes out. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm just, right now, I'm working on my body, I'm working on my mental. I'm probably gonna be playing Madden when it comes out, like I said, so I'm okay with being away from 2K22. It's been a great year. Honestly, a lot of growth, a lot of just mental growth as well, and I'm really looking forward to the ideas being unleashed in 2K23. I have so many cool ideas, and I got so many cool people signed up with it as well. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you all enjoyed. And on that, take it easy, man. Peace.